David, can you share a little bit about what LCMC has meant to you and your congregation?
LCMC has strengthened me personally as well as our congregation in a whole bunch of different ways. When we joined LCMC, which was 2001, pretty early on, I'm in Tucson, Arizona, it was largely a stewardship question for me. It was a case of I need to be investing my time and my money in things that leave me invigorated and encouraged and make me better than I was before, come away with better ideas, and come back strong instead of come back depressed.
Instead of money down a rat hole.
And so it absolutely has been that. So for me personally, these last several years have been great times of growth. I look forward to these kinds of opportunities to be together, come away encouraged and strengthened. For our congregation, one of the most tangible effects has been in the whole area of missions. We've grown enormously as a mission-minded congregation in the last 6 years, and LCMC plays a huge role in that. It was through other LCMC congregations that we first sent a couple of people on another congregation's mission trip. And then it was a LCMC speaker that we heard from Haiti that prompted us to sponsor our own first trip. And it's a person who does congregational missions in LCMC that led me and 8 others from our church to go to Tanzania last March. And all of that, everyone has a direct, very strong tie to the relationships that have been built through LCMC. So it's been fabulous.
Great, David. Another David, can you share a little bit about what this association has meant to you and your church?
Well, I'm kind of a newcomer compared to like Paul, 2.5 years, and we've been in the association. And when we were looking at LCMC, I liked the statements, the association, but my big question was viability. Is this really viable? I don't want to jump to that and it not be viable. And last year, or a year and a half ago, we went to the Evangelical Free Church in America. They were started in the 50s, a little bit Lutheran, but more Reformed, and looked at their structure, because they're an association kind of like ours. And we found out that we're organized exactly the same. And they are the most dynamic of kind of the mainline or the traditional denominations. They're the most dynamic, growing. They plan a church for every 13 churches. They have a successful plant going on. And 90% of their church plants are successful after 3 years. So I said, at that point I said, we are very viable. And we do have the right structure for growth. And just what Dave was saying with the connecting, we're connecting with Nicaragua and Mexico in ways we never thought possible. When you look at, we had the Pavel from Nicaragua just come through our area. We invited him to our church, and come to find out some of the material we had produced, they had read and made their decision to join LCMC through that. Didn't know it at the time. And that wonderful connectedness, and I really like responsibility. We're not looking at some organization to do it, it's on us.
That's right.
And that empowers people.
Yeah.
Really empowers them, and that's what I'm excited about. Mission for Christ.
One of the things that I've liked most about LCMC is I've been able to make these acquaintances with people from around the world and country that I would never have met before, perhaps. And I have found that these gatherings that we come to are just one of the highlights of my year. Worship and learning and fellowship. I wonder if, Bruce, if you'd share a little bit about your thoughts about that.
Walking into your church during opening worship, when I brought those members of my congregation to come and take a look,
It's like you were coming home.
it was coming home, it was spirit-filled, and worship at each event. And each event has been uniquely different because we try to have our annual gathering hosted by a different church. We've had traditional music, we've had contemporary, we've had blended in between. There's a vibrancy and a vitality to worship. that really feeds the spirit. And I so much understand what you said earlier, Dave, about coming home from district conventions or synod assemblies feeling beleaguered, feeling beat up, feeling depressed. I come back from these and I'm jazzed. I am spirit-filled and I am encouraged in my ministry. And I want to say something else too, Dale, about stewardship. That was the theme that both of you mentioned. You know, that happens, you know, at so many different levels. I had concerns in the former church body I was a part of, just sending the sometimes over $100,000 we were sending up to the Senate office, and then that was split and on to Chicago. I had real concerns that kept me awake at night about, is this the best use of God's money? And then I had a much more profoundly personal question of stewardship, and this happened when I was in my late 40s. What am I doing with this ministry that Christ has entrusted to me as someone called to preach and teach and to minister the sacraments? And for me, the association with LCMC has rejuvenated my call to ministry. It has been edifying. I can really get down to the business of being a pastor and not a politician, and not someone who has to apologize for what happened at the last church-wide assembly, the last synod assembly. And let's face it, today's unchurched person, they've got access to so much information. Every time we did a new member class, I spent half the class having to explain and apologize for a church body where I had the same concerns. And so in the new member class now, we can get right to Christ, right to discipleship, right to spiritual formation. These other things aren't a part of that new member assimilation process any longer. Now, are we a perfect association? No, we're a bunch of forgiven sinners. And I want to make that point perfectly clear as we're talking as pastors. I wasn't looking for a perfect association. If we'd gone to Fargo and I'd been told, we are the true Lutheran church body on earth, we are it, I would have run away as quickly as possible. You know, there's already several denominations like that.